Hello, I'm Mr. Bastinello, middle school science teacher, and today I'm going to tell you about an awesome science experience I got to participate in recently. I, along with several other educators, researchers, and scientists, spent a day on Lake Michigan aboard the research vessel Niske. We got to see the technology that researchers use to find and explore shipwrecks, as well as the tools scientists use to monitor the quality of water. Here's the ship we were on. The RV Niske is the only year-round research vessel on the Great Lakes. It is from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and it is 71 feet long, and according to its website, the Niske's research capabilities include a full range of wet and dry lab facilities for chemical, physical, biological, and geological sampling and analysis, including seabird profiler, hydrographic casts, current meter deployment, surface water temperature chart recorder, vertical and horizontal net tows, trawling, dredging, box coring, and sediment sampling. The Niske is also equipped for support of scuba-assisted research and small ROV operations. And we got to do some of those things, and that's what I'll be sharing with you today. So we left from the harbor in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and traveled about 2 miles out into Lake Michigan to a buoy that marked a shipwreck that we would explore. The shipwreck was the Sella Chamberlain. On October 13th, 1886, approximately 7 miles from shore, the Chamberlain heard another vessel's whistle directly ahead. Captain Greenlee immediately signaled her whistle once and turned the vessel's wheel port, but it was already too late. The Sella Chamberlain was struck in the port bow by what was later determined as the John Pridgeon Jr. After the collision, the Chamberlain headed west towards shore, but in the end, the Sella Chamberlain sank in approximately 15 minutes after the collision, and today she sits at a depth of about 87 feet below the surface. Now, in order to view the shipwreck, we used an ROV, or remotely operated vehicle. An ROV is basically a mini remote-controlled submarine about the size of a laundry basket. Another way to think of it is as an underwater drone. Equipped with 2 lights, 4 cameras, and a sonar system, it is controlled by an Xbox controller. It also contains a robotic arm with a claw on the end that can allow it to grab samples if needed. The ROV is connected to the boat by a long tether, which also doubles as a way to retrieve the ROV should it become unresponsive. After the ROV pilot launches it, he controls it from inside one of the ship's labs, watching 2 screens that show a live feed from the ROV's camera. Lucky for us, the conditions were clear that day, and you could see here that it was really amazing to be able to view a shipwreck come to life on the screen. In addition to the shipwrecks, we also learned about ways to monitor the quality of water. This is called a Secchi disc, and it is used to measure turbidity, or how clear the water is. You simply lower it down until you can no longer see it, and then record how far down it was when you could no longer see it. The further down you can see it, the clearer the water. This is a good long-term way to measure how the clearness of the water changes over time. Another important measurement is the amount of plankton in the water. Plankton are an important part of a marine ecosystem, as they are the basis of the food web. The more plankton there are, the more food for bigger animals to eat, which means a healthier ecosystem. In this picture is a plankton net. The plankton net can be dragged in the water by the boat, or just lowered down as far as you want in the water, and plankton are then scooped in and collected in this thermos-looking device. Now, you can't really see most plankton with just your eyes because they are so small, so you need to use a microscope to see them. Here we are able to use a digital microscope in the ship's lab in order to find the plankton in a sample. Since we only dragged it beside the boat, we only collected plankton from the surface, but we did find some plankton in our sample. However, if we had dropped the net deeper into the water, we would have expected to find more plankton. One other interesting piece of technology on the ship is sonar. Sonar sends out waves in a fan-shaped pattern below the boat. The sound waves travel through the water until they hit something, and will then bounce back to receivers on the ship. The amount of time it takes to bounce back is calculated, and researchers are able to put together a picture of what the bottom terrain looks like. If there's a shipwreck, it will look like a raised area from the surrounding terrain. Well, thanks for joining me today. This was a great experience for me, and if the idea of hunting for shipwrecks and monitoring water quality appeals to you, I suggest thinking about pursuing education in science, specifically archaeology and marine biology, where you can make a career out of doing these exciting activities out on the water. Stay curious, my friends.